4 hours later and lots of singing, finally made it. And it is an absolutely gorgeous day, and I'm just thankful to be out of the car. This property I'm on, it is actually not ours. We have a family cabin down the road a little bit, and this was just a property that we were able to build a relationship and ask for permission, and now we have exclusive rights to hunt here. So, you know, in the days of expensive leases and expensive land, you can either go the public land route, but I definitely would not count out asking for permission. One good tip I want to share is, if you run a lot of cameras, and on multiple properties especially, it's easy to lose track of where you put cameras. So I like to number my cameras, and I also number my SD cards. And what I do is I have 2 SD cards for every camera. So you pull your card, you swap your cards out in the field, go back to the cabin or your car or whatever, tree stand, and you're able to look at all the cards. Something else I find super handy are these Pelican cases. Not only are they waterproof, but they're a great way to organize your cards. And depending on how many you have, I like to put fresh cards on the left side and full ones on the right, so I know which ones to stick in the cameras and which ones I gotta take back and check still. But I can't stress enough the importance of postseason scouting, and that's scouting basically before green up, because everything in the woods looks the same as it does during hunting season. Now it looks like a jungle in here, and completely different than it's gonna look come late October and November. The multi-cams blend right in. I was pretty sure I was in the right area and looked around for a couple of minutes before I noticed it right here. I'm running because I'm getting absolutely swarmed by mosquitoes, and I don't have any bug spray on. Always wear protection. Oh, don't trip, don't roll an ankle. And there's my hunting mobile. Should probably get a truck, huh? Now that I'm in the safety of my car, still breathing heavy because I'm out of shape, I wanted to talk a little bit about something. You might be wondering, if you follow me on social media at all, I've been talking about how I'm gonna be hunting on public land and taking an out-of-state trip and some of these different things. And I got this property, I got my family's property, and access to a couple others, and why wouldn't I just hunt here? One, it's 4 hours away from where I'm currently living, and two, this is an area that's historically not known for great bucks. Not to say that they're not, it's not possible to get them here, and that's why we invest our time and effort and money and sweat to improve the habitat in hopes that we can increase the quality of the bucks here. And a big part of that obviously is age structure. So the more you can advocate for letting the small ones grow, and passing those 1.5-year-old bucks, and then eventually passing the 2.5-year-old bucks, that's the only way you're going to get mature bucks, and that's one of the biggest things. So gonna take a drive down the road and go grab a couple more cams. So now we are actually on my family property, and we have this field food plot. It's some perennial, I don't know what's actually in here, a lot of weeds. But what's interesting is we're on top of this huge ridge right now, and as I'm learning more about bedding, we don't have a ton of thick cover on our property, and it's a lot of highlands and hills and ridges. And the more I'm learning about bedding, the more I become fascinated with these big fingers that come off this ridge. And I'm suspecting that's where all of the bucks are bedding here. So set up some trail cameras in areas where we've never put cams to kind of test my hypothesis. So it'll be interesting to see the results, but we'll see here shortly. The bugs don't seem nearly as bad up here versus down there in the swamp at that other place. And here you can see where this ridge just drops down to nothing, but there's these long fingers that shoot out, and I'm guessing that at the end of each one of those fingers where sharp drops down to the bottom is where those deer bed, because they have the sight advantage to be able to look out over the bottom, and when the wind's blowing over their back down those fingers, they can smell any predators coming from the top. So it's really a foolproof, and I mean, it makes it really tough to hunt, but first step of consistently getting on these bucks is locating them. So here's another good example of what I'm talking about. It just drops down to nothing, but there's that ridge finger, that finger that goes off. Pretty interesting stuff. And another reason they like the bed there is because as the thermals rise in the morning and drop at night, they're able to smell everything, because they're in the what they call the thermal tunnel, where the wind's kind of swirling, where you got the wind blowing over their back and the thermal's rising, and it creates this effect where they can really smell everything and see a long ways. So good luck getting on them. But like I said, first step is locating them, and then we can make the game plan. But I'm kind of tired of just blindly hunting these areas, and this was first step in taking the next step. Another tip when running trail cameras is, depending on, here I put it on this slant on the side of the hill, and if you were to just put your camera strapped right on the tree as it comes, you're never gonna hit those deer. So sometimes you need to put some sticks behind it to get the right angle, and then cinch down your strap, and that way you actually get the deer on there. Takes a little bit of practice. I definitely have my fair share of trail cam pictures of just feet or just tips of the ears or horns, and missed everything else. But once you get her dialed in, it's a cool trick, so give it a try. Well, I must have just beat my dad. I was gonna give you the MTV Cribs tour, but that'll have to wait.
Thank you.
I literally just walked in.
Good. Good seeing you.
Got all the cameras. We're vlogging.
Are we online or not?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're online.
Uh-oh. So,
Time to unpack. So we picked this spot out last time we were here, and the reason for that is right behind me is swamp bedding. And we found that that type of bedding is not very wind specific, so we're able to get in here with the wind in our favor, and we're going to kind of clear out this area here and put a little food plot in right tight to the bedding. So if you want to see bucks in daylight, at least mature bucks, you got to be right up close to their bedroom. So we're going to put this in and leave it alone, and come back in the fall and hopefully get it done. Time to get cutting. Day 3, Sunday, Father's Day, and it is hot and humid. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning and it's almost 90 degrees with full humidity. But it was cool when we pulled in this field. We found there was about 5 or 6 does and fawns that we busted out of here. And then one of the fawns stuck around kind of over here, and I was trying to get my long lens on my camera, but it's so humid that my lens fogged up, so I didn't get any pictures. But pretty cool. Glad to see the more fawns. And on the trail cameras we only saw 2, and they were all dropped within the last week and a half. So pretty neat. Pretty neat. Back to more cutting. I'll show you what we did yesterday. I didn't get to document as much as I would have liked, just because I was running around trying to get this chainsaw figured out, but I'll show you in a minute. Right behind me is a 12-foot ladder stand that was set up for gun hunting, and I came around and started bow hunting it, and have had a lot of really cool hunts from there, but I feel like I'm always just a little bit out of the game. So down here is a thick swamp and a lot of bedding, and there's a pond over there. Over here last year there was a cornfield, and then it comes to a corner right here. This field was just fallow for the last 2 years, but what the deer do is they bed back here and then travel up right into this corner, or they come down here out of the bedding in the corner, come use the edge, especially in the rut, just scent checking. And then there's also a little stand of pines that comes out, and everything just kind of leads to this point. So talk about funnels for the rut, and this is a really good spot. Now what's going to be different this year is over here where it was corn last year is beans, and this over here where it was fallow for the last 2 years, just basically overgrown grass, is going to be corn. So it's going to be a little bit interesting, the dynamic and the change in cover. So what I wanted to do is, I always felt I was about 35 yards out of the game. So there's that ladder stand right here. We just hung a hang on and a climbing stick. Let me work around here. Right up there. So it's only 30-35 yards away. But I did a hanging hunt from this tree last year and had a 2.5-year-old buck come right under me. So basically puts you in bow range, you know, almost to this field edge, and where all the bulk of the action is in the corner, you're right in the middle of it. So it's gonna be a little interesting to see how the deer bed and all that with when the corn is up. But you know, we're gonna have to figure out what wind directions we are gonna be able to hunt on. I just moved a trail camera over here so we can get a better idea as the summer progresses. We're not going to be back here probably until the end of August, just to finish up one of our food plots and check the cameras one time before our season. But you know, family property, and always continue to invest in it, so that way maybe someday we'll get some mature bucks out here. So just got to get better at hunting and keep improving the habitat. But man, I am beat. They're already back at the truck.